Hi everyone, thank you for tuning back into my channel. This is going to be the second part of the first video that I've done, which was support. So I'm covering the concept of support and resistance. As I mentioned, the first video was support and identifying areas where you should be buying at the lows on previous support levels for meme coins and how you should trade those. And this video is going to be about resistance and how you can use resistance to identify where you should take profits and where you could potentially take trades in the future. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Before we start, if you guys do need a trading platform, be sure to use the link in my bio or the pinned one in the comment section where you'll get 10 to 20% discounted fees on your trading. Anyways, let's get into the video. So what is resistance? Resistance is just the opposite of support. So as prices go higher, there will eventually be a point where there are more sellers than buyers, and this is called resistance. So basically, it's the turning point or level where price that has been rising instead rejects and goes lower. So now that we know what support and resistance is, let's get into our example. So this is the same coin, the same example I used in the last video, please, and I'm recording these in real time right after each other so you can see live how we're talking about this being resistance, right? So what did I say? I said this area right here is going to be resistance, right? In this area right here, right? Because we have this initial rejection, this second rejection, this third rejection, and it comes back, now it's above. And what did I say? What I think will happen is we're going to go here, we'll bounce back into this area, and then we'll go higher if there's enough buyers. So as you can see here, we came through this resistance area, and what happened? Why did we go through this resistance area? Well, simply because we already tapped it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. There's only so many times it can hit this area and reject. And usually the third or fourth time it will break, right? If it's a super strong coin, it'll break on the second time. If it's a super strong coin, basically it'll make resistance, it'll bounce, it'll pump, and then it'll do this and then go higher, right? However, if it's a weaker coin, as we see here, it'll do something like this. And on the third or fourth time, it will pump and it'll go through the resistance level. And usually what happens is, since this is a slower coin, as you can see, it's taking a while to trade, what we can expect is here, it'll come back down into the resistance level that's now turned support, and that's the beauty. You can use these resistance levels to identify trades and identify areas of entry, right? So for example, we marked out the support level in here, right? And how it bounced off this level and that's now pumping. Well, guess what? Resistance occurs when people start taking profits, right? So we just pumped from here, 1.4 million to 3.1 million. There's a lot of people in profit right now who are going to be taking their profits. And what does that mean? That means most likely this point will reject. As you can see here, there's lots of wicks here. It will reject, decrease into another layer of support. As I mentioned, resistance turns into support once price level's broken, right? So right here as well, this is another example that we mentioned in the first video as a level of support. Guess what? This was originally resistance. It comes back in here and it bounces, so now it's a support level. Let's go into the other side of things, resistance and how you should take profits. So first off, what you should do is when there's a resistance level, obviously it forms initially. So you have to let it form and then you just draw it out. And so what you want to do is the next time it's approaching the resistance level, and if you're in the trade and if you're in a position and you're profitable, you should look to potentially take some profits off at this level. Why? Because if it's a really strong coin, it'll bounce right through it. However, if you see it struggling right here, you should assume that there will be many people who see this struggling and this rejection and who are going to take profits, so you should do the same. If you're buying in here on this support level like I just showed you, right off this previous rejection turned support, you're buying here and you see this beautiful pump and it goes into this area, what you should look to do is I should potentially take profits here. This is an area where we first rejected before. People are going to be thinking the same thing, and let me take a little bit off the position. And guess what? We pumped back down. This turned into another resistance level here. And why is this a resistance level? Well, guys, look at this. See how it goes up and it goes down and it goes up? Well, what is this? This is actually a low. And so lows can act as resistance levels. That's a resistance level. Look at that. So it rejected off here, came all the way to lows, bounced off this support. It pumped into this low, this previous low, which is now a rejection level, it bounced back, bounced into here on the same rejection level, bounced down here, turned into this rejection level, turns support, and it bounces, right? And it bounces, it goes through this level, goes above, bounces in here, it turns this rejection into support, comes into this rejection level, rejects, comes back down into here, right? Same level essentially, pumps again, rejects, pumps again off this level, and it comes back into this rejection level once again and rejects again. Look where it goes. It goes back into here, which was a little rejection level. This is a little rejection level right here. Look at that. That's a little support level and a little rejection level. There's a lot of nuances here, and it's very minute, but these levels are very key. You can actually find very nice entries off these. So this is a rejection level because it was a low. So rejected, came into here, reclaimed, supported, rejected, chopped around in here, once again pumped, rejected this level, strong level, and then it nuked all the way down here into this level, which is low rejection level, or this previous support level. See how this is a low and it rejected? Well, guess what? This is a low right here, and it rejected. See, this was a low, and it pumped, and guess what? We went below it, we rejected off of it in the first run. Let's just draw this level. This was a low actually, and we rejected it. And look at that. So we actually rejected it originally. Right here, we went below it, we rejected, came back to the support, it was stronger, there was more buyers than sellers, so we pumped. And it pumped and reclaimed, rejected here, and as you can see here, an incredible example of how these resistance levels turn into support. So likewise, as we showed here, this was a 3 times resistance level. We can expect this to support price very, very soon. So let's delete everything. The 2 levels right now that I'm going to be looking at is right here, this level, and I would also be looking at this level right here. So this was a low right here with this. These are the 2 levels that I would be looking at, and you should be buying in this area. So why is resistance turn support really good? Well, you're not buying the top. See how this is the top right here? It's going up, but guess what? Soon, very soon, people are going to be taking profits, and what's going to happen is when it turns to red instantly, when you get a little bit of red, everyone's going to start to sell. It's going to aggressively come to one of these 2 resistance levels, and we don't know which zone it's going to come into. It could come into the top one, it could come into the bottom one, but guess what? If you want to put in 5 Solana or 2 Solana in this trade, you can put in half of it here and then half of it in the next level, and you'll have a nice balanced entry, and you won't be buying the very top. Because the second you get a little bit of red, this will come all the way back down into here, and then you can enter. So that's an example of resistance and how you can use resistance for price targets, such as taking profits right here when it bounced, and also how to use resistance for future entries in your trades when it comes back down and you go up. So let's go into another example, popcat, the same one I used in the previous video as well. But now we're actually going to use it as resistance and how to showcase resistance. So as I mentioned in the previous example on the MEMECOIN, here, right here is a low, right? Even if this right here doesn't exist, right, I see this as a key low right here form, and that was actually support once because it bounced, and then we broke it. So I know it's going to be a resistance level now, right? Because if a support level bounces and then it breaks or just breaks immediately, then it's weak and it will act as a resistance level. So what happens? We come back in and we reject. We come into the support level, as I mentioned in the last video, and what happens? We pump back into the resistance level because this was a support level when it initially bounced, but it broke. So now it's a resistance level. Right? And now coins move from level to level. So support breaks, it's resistance. If resistance breaks, it's support now. So this is a resistance level, and we rejected. It came into the support level again, and then guess what? We come in, we reject a little bit, and we get above it. So now this acts as support level if it comes back into it. And that's it. Here, if this is the first resistance level, right? So with the same frame of thinking, you could say this was the first support. It came in, it bounced. Well, guess what? This was the first resistance right in here. So if you're buying and bouncing it, you should be taking profits in this area. Remember what I said? You should be taking profits at resistance levels because it could reject. And guess what? It did reject and it came all the way back down. So if you bought in this area right here and you didn't take profits in this area, then that's not good because it rejected all the way down to here and you're in the negatives now. And so as I mentioned, look, if we draw this out, look what happens. It comes into here and actually gets above it, and what happens? It starts accumulating in this area, and it starts actually turning this into a support level. Resistance turns support. And what happens? We bounce, and we bounce further. And so this is just kind of a quick example, once again, reiterating the fact that resistance can be used in multiple ways. It can be used to take profits and find areas to take profits. And also it can be used as an area of future support. So when resistance gets broken, it's used as support and as an incredibly strong price level for price to move higher. And it did just that, as you can see, at about $1 billion market cap. It pumped it and went higher after it accumulated here after a couple of days. So guys, these concepts are really, really important, but also very simple. And I've been primarily using this concept to trade my meme coins, and I've had a lot of success with these strategies, just very basic strategies. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Once again, if you do need a trading platform, get the cheapest one. Don't pay extra fees on the other ones when this is actually the best one with the most tools and gadgets, and it's also the cheapest. So if you do need that, get the link in the bio, and definitely check out my Telegram as well as my socials. I'll be posting more tips and tricks and guides and coins I'm looking at on Twitter and Telegram and all of those socials. So thank you again for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed my second video on my channel. There will be many more to come. See you next time.
Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi.